Well, we survived our night at the hotel from the movie The Shining, the Timberline Lodge.
Which was a lot of fun, if a little moist.
The road downhill is long, a little hair-raising, a little white-knuckly, and this kind of wind and rain. But we made it
Down out of the mountains and back into civilization. We were planning on doing a whole bunch of filming in this little town here, but according to the sign, it's boring. So I guess we'll have to take their word for it. Now, The Shining is awesome. A very cool movie. A little intense for younger viewers, though. Luckily, Allie is also a fan of some family-friendly Halloween movies.
which is why we've totally just bypassed Portland, because now we're going from The Shining to another Halloween classic.
At least if you ask her.
We're taking Allie
To Halloweentown. Welcome to Saint Helens, Oregon, the real-life town that stood in for Halloweentown in the Disney Channel movie of the same name. A movie that I was just a little too old to see myself as a kid on the Disney Channel. But thanks to Allie, I have now seen over and over again every Halloween. This is a trip. This little town square area by City Hall where they did the bulk of the Halloweentown filming is a lot smaller and different looking than I thought it was going to be. A lot of the shots in the movie are really close up to some of the buildings here. There's not a lot of wide shots, but one of the few there is the opening scenes where the kids from our world, from Earth, are coming to Halloweentown on the bus, which flies in just over the top of City Hall and comes to a rest behind the giant town jack-o'-lantern. Man, this is weird. It looks pretty much the same. The City Hall letters in the movie are bigger than the little ones that are on there now, and that's because that's not City Hall. That's actually a courthouse. City Hall is right next door, as indicated by this really cool old neon sign. So clearly the City Hall letters in the movie were just set dressing. The reason they're back up there now is, of course, because it's Halloween time once again, and every year here in St. Helens, their historic courthouse square area gets transformed back into Halloweentown for the month-long Spirit of Halloweentown Festival. Every weekend they have different activities, pumpkin lighting, haunted car rallies, all kinds of stuff. Vendors and games and fun-tivities. Sadly, we couldn't time our visit to be on a weekend, and as you can see, the weekdays are a little more mellow. But honestly, the festival activities really aren't the point for us. The point was to bring Allie to Halloweentown. Yeah, dude, that is awesome. One of the things that I notice about the real-life St. Helens is they've got the town's jack-o'-lantern, the giant pumpkin right here in the center, lined up with the courthouse, which is the way it seemed to be in the movie. But now, as I'm standing here looking closer, when the kids fly in over City Hall on the bus, and the bus comes to a stop right here, if you line up the shot, it appears that that jack-o'-lantern moves around because it looks like in the film it was almost all the way to the corner. Well, that's the benefit of it being a giant movie prop. You can move it around to frame the shot as needed.
Wow, it's amazing the way everything still lines up. Basically, the bus stop would be right here at the end of the little park, right in front of the Columbia County Courthouse here. So the front of the bus would be here, and Aggie, the grandma witch, played by Debbie Reynolds, steps off the bus right around here, walks around the front, and bumps into an old friend. I don't have this whole movie exactly memorized, but I believe the lady's name is Harriet. She runs into her right about here, and the way you can tell is because in the background of that shot, you see the edge of the actual City Hall building, and that little gable back there still line up pretty much the same way today. It's weirdly kind of hard to match things up perfectly during the Spirit of Halloweentown Festival, because they've got all these props and fun pick opportunities sort of in the way, which we'll check out in a minute. Basically, the whole plot of the movie is that the witches and goblins and ghouls, the Halloween creatures, have separated themselves from the mortal world by building their own world, Halloweentown. Debbie Reynolds is a witch who lives in Halloweentown, and her daughter, April O'Neil, left Halloweentown for the human world, where she had 3 kids, the oldest of which, Marnee, has just realized she's a witch. And so she and her brother Dylan have snuck onto the back of the Halloweentown bus and arrived here in Halloweentown in just about this spot right here. See, the front of the bus was down there where the grandma, Debbie Reynolds, gets off. The kids sneak off right here. Marnee is stoked, but as Dylan sees his first monster, you can see the City Hall building right behind him. Of course, we got a bus blocking the arched entryway right now, but you can still see the matching windows. And as the camera pans down, you can still see this curved curb. And this is where they make their way into the plaza and into town. Of course, new plantings and those Halloween props are in the way, so I can't match it perfectly. But that whole first chunk of the film where they arrive in Halloweentown was all filmed more or less at this end of the little park, right in front of the courthouse. Man, you can actually see on the City Hall building some of the windows that line up behind Dylan as he makes his way in. And apparently the pumpkin in the movie was double-sided, unlike this one here in real life, because they're standing in front of it, and you can see that tree in the background as Dylan notices that their little sister Sophie has also stowed away on the bus to Halloweentown, and behind her you can see the courthouse steps, and that railing still match up today. It's the perfect place to get a fun Sophie pic, which Allie, the littlest one in this family, is doing right now as well. Hi! She's really into this. Next, right about here, and the pumpkin's actually blocking me from the correct, perfect angle, the children meet Kalabar, the mayor of Halloweentown. You'll see that's the same tree in the spot, the same building back there, same arched windows, the same everything. There's actually a great shot of Kalabar, well, pretty much just his head right here in front of City Hall, which obviously still lines up to, you could just go on and on doing this with every shot from the movie, because it was all done right here. Now, the kids have never been to Halloweentown before. They don't know where they're going. I don't know why they didn't just run up to their grandma when they saw her getting off the bus, but since they've lost her, and they have no idea how to get to their grandma's house, Kalabar calls them a cab, which pulls up right here in front of the actual City Hall building, a sweet old school vintage cab driven by a skeleton named what else? Benny. Yes, just like Roger Rabbit. I think it's some kind of rule. Every cab driver in a Disney movie should have to be called Benny. One of my favorite characters in the film. I mean, after all, he's a talking skeleton. Why not? And of course, for the spirit of Halloweentown Festival, the cab is a little different. But it appears they've brought Benny along for the ride. Dude, look at that. That looks so good. Dude, that is awesome. Benny the cab driver, back from the dead. Again!
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Wow, dude. Personally, I prefer the 1940s or 1930s cab from the actual movie. But this is also a pretty sick whip right here. Plus, I actually really do like the character of Benny. Benny takes the kids from the square down here through Halloweentown and up to their grandma's house, which I believe is located on that hill. And since the square is kind of filling up right now, we might as well take a walk up there and check it out. Kind of cool because when you get to Saint Helens, there are all these little posters with QR codes, and the link will take you to a list of addresses so you can take a self-guided walking tour of the filming location. Oh, dude, look at this town. They are ready for Halloween. All right, we just whip around this corner here, up the hill, and hopefully we'll find the spot where... Oh, yep, this is the spot right here. This is where the kids get out of Benny's cab. Notice the top of City Hall in the distance, and notice the way it matches up perfectly to where we are now. Specifically the way that the top of the courthouse, which is the City Hall in the movie, lines up with that hill across the river there. That is crazy. That means the cab pulled up right here, right to the dead end of 2nd Street, and the house they were standing in front of was this one right here, the Nob Hill Riverview Bed and Breakfast. But even though the shot looking this way is correct, the shot looking this way was of a different house, which I believe was in Portland. Sorry, Allie. No visiting Grandma Aggie today. Pretty sure that shot actually was filmed from the porch of this house. Not sure why it wasn't the grandma's house in the movie, but it looks like it's a pretty nice place to stay if you're coming to the festival. All right, let's head back down now. Back to the little downtown area here on 1st Street, because there's a couple more places from the movie to check out. It's awesome the way this town has embraced their Hollywood roots. A lot of little filming location towns would just roll their eyes like, ah. But here they have fully embraced their role as Halloweentown. Now, if we keep walking past the little courthouse square and keep going down 1st Street, in just a couple seconds, you'll find yourself standing in front of this, the Columbia Theater, which ends up having an important role in the movie because this is where Debbie Reynolds' Grandma Aggie comes to confront the bad guy, who, spoiler alert, heavy spoiler alert, turns out to be the mayor, Kalabar. And he freezes the grandma. There's a whole confrontation scene here. This theater's kind of a big deal. There's a shot in the movie where they show the marquee and it says closed forever, but as you can see here in the real life version of Halloweentown, the theater is still kicking. Actually, the first time you see the theater in the movie, it's because they're going into this shop next door, which served as the Abominable Snowman's ice cream shop. This is where they go to get themselves a little frozen treat, and not only do they still serve ice cream here apparently, but if you look through the window, you'll notice they still have that striped design on the wall. The shelves are still there that you see behind Kalabar in the film. It's all pretty much exactly the same. It's also pretty cool because all the buildings across the street in the movie are still there today, looking pretty much the same. It all lines up, Allie. you're standing in Halloweentown. Every year, you make me watch this movie, and every year, what do you say?
I want to go.
I want to go to Halloweentown, and finally, I have brought you here. Are you happy now?
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Are you satisfied? I never have to bring you back here again, right? Uh-oh. Dude, this lady just came into the little ticket booth behind us as we were talking, and through the speaker, she's like, "Can I help you guys?" I didn't think I was gonna get a jump scare in Halloweentown. She was just being friendly, but she scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. Anyway, Marnee disappears from the ice cream shop when they're in there with their grandma because something caught her eye. They make it seem like it was right next door, but where Marnee goes is actually back in the town square to check out the Broom Shop. Because of course, every teenage witch needs a broom. Just ask Sabrina. And that Broom Shop is right here, right at the City Hall building. The real life City Hall building, I mean, you know, this one over here, not the movie City Hall, which is in real life the courthouse. I know, it's confusing. I had a heck of a time with this one. At first, I didn't think this was the right spot because in the movie, there are little awnings here above these windows. But this is it, right in front of the City Council Chambers entrance. They have a whole long conversation with the broom salesman right in the doorway here, right in this area, who's basically a dead ringer for undead Elvis. He goes, "Looks like you got your eye on our Windsweeper 5000. Marnie's like, "Is that a good one?" And he goes, "Unibody construction, chrome detailing." Yeah, that was right here. You'll notice the way the outside and the inside, the molding of the window matches up perfectly the way it does in the movie. And now that I look closer in the film, you can actually see these stones of the building quite a few times. But it threw me off because in the scene at the end with Luke, you could definitely tell there were awning poles and stuff that aren't here now. But if you look at the background, it lines up perfectly with that curb back there in front of the courthouse.
Oh, that Luke dude. He's turned into such a wiener.
So yeah, there were awnings out here and a lot more set dressing and props, but this is the correct spot. This is where the Broom Shop was, where Marnee picks up the Windsweeper 5000. Now in the film, to save Halloweentown, they have to light up that jack-o'-lantern over there in the town square with Merlin's talisman. But to get Merlin's talisman to light up, they need to collect a whole bunch of stuff, including a vampire fang, which they do right here at the dentist's office in the film, which as you can see, is now an insurance office. But for the festival, they got that giant tooth hanging outside again. And in the window, a photo of the dentist from the film. They need to get the sweat of a ghost from the gym, which is down the street. They got to get the hair from a werewolf over there at Wolfie's Salon, which in real life is this real estate office. Almost all pretty much right here in the main town square, all within walking distance. And it's crazy, like I said, I didn't grow up with that movie, but I've now seen it about 1,000 times thanks to Allie, a couple times every year. So even for me, as just a casual fan, this is kinda awesome. Man, look at all the props they have out here and all the fun pick opportunities for people visiting the Spirit of Halloweentown Festival. There's a dragon throne, spooky chairs, babe, pig in the city. Yeah, this is awesome. I don't even know what's going on here. Looks like a pop-up broom shop of some kind. But this ticket booth is awesome. Look at that, you can get your tickets to the mortal world. There are 3 giant jack-o'-lanterns out here, all of which light up, I believe. And dude, that main one in front of the courthouse is really a dead ringer for the one in the film. It looks just like it. Of course, there's the replica of Benny in the old vintage cab over there that we've already seen, and this sweet metal picture frame. Do it for the Instagram. Wait a minute, that's not the phrase. It's do it for the gram, right? Not do it for the Instagram. Oh, well, at least I nailed the photo op. Sending that one to my mom. There's kind of a lot to see out here, even on the weekdays when the festival proper isn't going on. See now, the giant raven makes sense to me, you know, nevermore. Dragons are spooky. And we all know farm equipment can be pretty spooky too. I mean, you use it the wrong way, you could lose a finger. The fun pick of the bus makes sense right here where the bus stop was in the film, of course. And the skeleton-like driver, of course, is reminiscent of Benny. All good so far, all good. Jack Skellington makes sense, I guess. Also Disney, also Halloween. But the one thing I can't figure out is, why is there a giant metal Pegasus out here? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, you know. Pegasuses are cool. Pegasi? Pegasi, yeah, Pegasi. I mean, everyone likes a good flying horse. I just don't normally think of them as a Halloween creature. Weird. Oh, dude, I didn't notice before on the side of Wolfie's Salon. Check out this sweet banner they've got with that 3D blow dryer. This is strange because they have this weird, almost jungle gym looking thing right here next to that Wolfie sign. And it's talking about bats. Like, I think you push that button right there and that speaker is talking about actual bats. Not vampire bats, not Halloween bats, just, you know,
a little information on biology or zoology. And then last but not least, I think I was the most impressed by this thing right here. What in the heck? Look at the size of that creepy Pumpkin King right there. This is a giant wood carved, you know, like a chainsaw carving of a very creepy, very scary jack-o'-lantern with the creepy Peter Pumpkin Eater poem in front. I don't know why that's there, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Man, they really go all out in this town. Not just outside, but inside all these windows. There are props, there are decorations. There is just a lot to see here in this little place. A lot more than I thought there was going to be. This whole trip has been a whirlwind, spur of the moment, very little planning involved. Straight driving all the way to Oregon from Southern California, which is a long way. Doing crazy hikes at 8,000-foot elevation, staying on Mount Hood at the Timberline Lodge where they filmed The Shining. And now, bringing Allie to Halloweentown. Boy, I do not know what's next, as you never know with the weather in the Pacific Northwest, and we gotta be home in like 48 hours. But one thing I do know for sure is I am tired. Ooh, hey, you know what I just realized? I'm sorta dressed a little like Marty McFly right now, and I'm standing in a courthouse square, and you know what that means? That means it's time for me to get a fun pic. Bum 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 ba bum 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 bum. Sweet. No, wait a minute. I forgot. I'm in Halloweentown. Bum 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 ba 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 ba. All right, gang. As you can see, now that the sun has come out in the late afternoon, so have more guests and more looky-loos. And not only are we still trying to stay as socially distanced as possible, but it's time for us to surrender Halloweentown to some other fans. Hopefully next year we'll be able to visit during the crazy festivities on a weekend, but even on a random half-rainy weekday. This was pretty fun. For several years in a row now, Allie has kept saying, we should go to Halloweentown, it'll be fun. And I've got to admit, she was right. By the way, when you're here in Halloweentown, you are supposed to wear a mask at all times if possible, and stay 6 feet away from other people. If you saw us without masks, that was just for filming and with the permission of some friendly police officers who were just next door to City Hall over there. That's just a little behind the scenes for you. Boy, I cannot wait until we're only masking up on Halloween again. That'll be nice. Anyway, the light is getting low, so I think it's time to go. Coming to Saint Helens, where they also filmed Twilight, by the way. Some Twilight stuff back there and all around, but we'll save that for the future, I guess, since I've never seen that movie. Anyway, coming to Saint Helens here was an Allie bucket list item. The next place we're going is an Oregon city that's been on my bucket list for 30 years. So it's time to bid a farewell to Halloweentown. Get back in the car and head back to the mortal world. For the first time in my life, I finally made it to Astoria, Oregon. For years and years and years, I have put it off, waiting for the perfect moment, the moment when I'd have enough time, the moment when I would have planned it out perfectly. But as I think we've all learned from 2020, you never know if there's ever gonna be a perfect time. And so what the heck, it may be rushed, it may only be for less than 24 hours, but at least I'm here. I've done my duty. Now I can hotel and sleep well. According to the sign, it's boring, so I guess we'll have to take their word for it. Look, Allie, a dancer! He's doing the worm! He's doing it! Maybe this town ain't so boring after all. By the way, guys, don't forget we got a lot of sick Randomland merch, including these sweet hats and beanies. And I'm a total weenie because I forgot my Randomland beanie. There are sweet t-shirts and patches and stickers. Ooh, and pins, including some glow-in-the-dark pins. Nice. We also have a little something called Patreon, which helps to support and fund more adventures if you want to. Those who do receive the Patreon-only podcast, which will resume very soon once I'm home, in fact. And now that you've listened to that, you've done your duty too. Go home and sleep well. It looks like we're getting an unexpected bonus here at the Ivy Bear family pizzeria. Because apparently next door, this thing right here that looks like a giant bush is actually the world's largest bear. I know, you can barely tell what that's supposed to be, and his head is looking a little bare. But that's it, at 34 feet tall, the world's largest bear, and the world's largest topiary bear as well. Good idea. He's got a nice snout. He needs a little haircut on his bottom half. And I guess this rain is good for his growth and his future progress.
Ooh, look at this right in front of us.
Looks like some kind of wood carver shop or something. And look at this. Look at all of these Bigfoots. Bigfoots? Big feet? Dude, I want one of these so bad. Looks like the little one is $850 though, so that'll have to be a future wish. Ooh, dude, and look at this big one. Yeah, someday if I have a farm or something that I want people to not trespass on, I'm getting grumpy Bigfoot to warm them up. Dude, it's always a pleasure to see a Bigfoot. Oh, Rainbow Farm trout fishing a quarter mile. Nah, I guess we'll save that for better weather.